Hey guys, so welcome back to another video. So today we are continuing the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Chapter 5, The 5 Orange Pips. So this is part 2 of the chapter 5. So last time we stopped till here, so let's continue. Sherlock observed the paper for some time. He held it up to the light to see if there is any hidden writing. After careful observation, he returned the piece of paper to Mr. John Openshaw. "What action have you taken since you received this letter, Mr. Openshaw?" Sherlock asked. "Nothing. I've done nothing. I can do nothing. I feel helpless. I had contacted the police, but they think I'm crazy. However, they have allotted an officer to stay with me at all times," Openshaw replied. "And did this officer accompany you now?" "No, he's at my house, back in Horsham. It is very important that you return at once. Keep this paper on the sundial according with it. Keep a note explaining that this is the only paper that remains and the rest were burnt by your uncle." Sherlock said and assured him that he will look into the matter and let him know of the result. In the meantime, Openshaw should only focus on saving his life. Mr. John Openshaw left and Sherlock sat down in his chair. "I don't think we have had a case as fantastic as this, Watson," he said. I asked him if he had formed a definite conclusion as to what the danger was, and he said that he was certain about it. "And what is it? What is this KKK?" I asked. "Now tell me, Watson. What did you note about the letters that arrived bearing the unlucky omens?" he asked me. "All of them came from different ports: Pondicherry, India, Dundee in Scotland, and East London. Maybe the writer was on board a ship." "Excellent. We already have a clue," he exclaimed. "There is no doubt whatsoever that the writer came by the means of a ship. Now there is one more factor we shall consider: the time between the arrival of the warning and deed being carried out. In this case, the letter was a letter from Pondicherry. There was a gap of 7 weeks between threat and death. In Dundee, the time difference was 3 to 4 days. Now what does that suggest?" Sherlock liked questioning me, and I like to be involved in solving process. I suggested it was because of the distance between the origin and destination ports. But the letter also had to travel the same distance. Hence, Sherlock deduced that this period was the difference between the arrival of the mailboat which carried the letter and the vessel which brought the perpetrator of the deadly act. And that is why I urged young Openshaw to take immediate action. His warning came from East London, which means he doesn't have long before he faces the same fate, and therefore we cannot count on delays," he said with grave expression. I was taken aback by the revelation. I implored Sherlock to tell me what is this relentless killing meant, and who was the person so hell-bent on destroying this family, that too over a bunch of papers. Sherlock pointed out that the papers that John Openshaw carried are objects of the utmost importance for the person or persons that sent the letter. He also pointed out that was impossible for the same person to travel from various places and commit murders that fooled the authorities, not once but twice. In this way, my dear Watson, there are 3 cases are no longer the initials of an individual. It is something entirely different. The badge of a secret society," he explained. I asked him if he knew what society wore the letter K 3 times on its badge. He looked at me for a few seconds and then he came closer in an hushed tone and asked me if I had just a minute. And asked me if I had never heard of the organization known as the Ku Klux Klan, and I had indeed never heard of the existence of any such community. The name Ku Klux Klan is taken from the sound of a rifle when you cock it. It is one of the most disgraceful communities to ever come into existence, formed by some ex-Confederate soldiers after the Civil War. It spread its branches in all reaches of the United States of America. The main purpose of the existence of the secret society was to make life of black people difficult, and their method of warning them is to send envelope with 5 orange pips. Sherlock read aloud from the American Encyclopedia. Sherlock found the American Encyclopedia that the Ku Klux Klan was disbanded in 1869. This was coincidentally the same year John Openshaw's uncle had left the United States of America and settled, quite alone, in his beautiful mansion. Sherlock never believed in coincidences, but from the facts he had gathered up till now, he deduced that John Openshaw's uncle had come running back to England with the records and accounts of the Ku Klux Klan. Next morning, when I woke up, I found that Sherlock had already been working since God knows when. So that's it for part 2, guys. Part 2 of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 5, The 5 Orange Pips. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.